This is Beth Horenkamp.
Can I get it out of there? I'm not as tall as Brian. Okay, I'll stand still. So I moved here in 2003 from Colorado Springs, and why in the world would anybody move to Lancaster from Colorado Springs? We got a lot of when we moved here. When my husband tells the story, which he would never do in front of this many people, he says that I came to him one day after what was a minor child care emergency, although there are no minor child care emergencies when you have 4 kids and you're trying to start a new job, and said, honey, the kids and I are moving back to the East Coast. We love you, but whether you come with us or not is really immaterial. We're going back home. And he was too wise a man to get in the way of a woman with 4 children trying to get back to his mother. And so we made a plan. We made a really very tactically, beautifully perfect plan. We both had to find jobs. We drew a 2-hour circle around my brother, who had laid his stake down, also being a wise man, within 30 minutes of his in-laws. We got out our professional books from our membership societies. We found towns that had large enough practices for both of us to have a reasonable quality of life. We each sent out like 45 letters, narrowed that down in phone interviews, did informal interviews at our national meetings in June, narrowed that down to 5 towns, came back to the East Coast, 5 towns, 5 days, made a decision on Sunday, we're moving to town X. Done, got it, moving. So we went through that. My parents were getting ready to retire. They found a town between Westchester and town X. We had our Christmas card that year that said, we are moving to town X. The next day I got my contract in the mail. It was 1 page. I'm like, ooh, 1 page. That's really not very much to like move my whole family. And so I called the practice back and I said, wow, this is kind of a short contract. And they said, yeah, we know. And I said, well, maybe I could see the partnership contract. And they said, well, yeah, that might change. I said, oh, that might change? What do you mean it might change? And I said, well, maybe I should see some financial records then, just to see what, my earning potential might be. And they said, we withdraw our offer. Oh, that's not good. My Christmas card says I'm moving to town X, my parents are moving. Oh my God. And so, we looked at 5 towns and it really was close. And so I called my parents, who had decided to move to Lancaster, and I said, so if we moved to Lancaster, would you move halfway between Lancaster and Westchester? And my mother said, there is nothing between Lancaster and Westchester. And I said, oh, okay, great. We're going to go back to Lancaster. And so after a good deal of groveling, we were coming back to Lancaster with one caveat, which was that the practice my husband liked had hired someone else, and they needed him to start a little bit later. So we're going to make lemonade out of lemons. Yeah, honey, this gives you a period of time where you can go back and do some training, which started with, you're going to be in Baltimore for 3 months, you can come home every weekend, and somehow it ended up he's going to be in San Antonio for 6 months and come home once a month, and I'm going to have 4 kids and be in Lancaster. I don't know how that happened. But that's the prelude to me finding myself one night in bed by myself with 4 children, having spent the week with my parents, unpacking an entire house, putting together multiple things while simultaneously herding 4 children. So I was in a very sound sleep when at 3 o'clock in the morning, bam, huge bang noise. I'm like, oh my God, what was that? It wakes me up. And immediately, I'm the mother of 4 children. Oh my God, one of my children's beds must have just collapsed, because that's what we were doing that day, was putting together beds. I go sprinting out into the hallway, because there's a hallway between all of our bedrooms, and I'm like, it's okay, Mommy's here. Silence, complete silence. And I was like, okay, where's, the crying's gonna start. Nobody's crying, so I peek in the bedrooms. All the beds are still intact. I peek in the other bedroom, all the beds are still intact. And I'm like, what was that noise? Oh my God. And so I think, okay, the shelves that I put up downstairs must have fallen down. So turning on lights in front of me, because it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm by myself, I go through the house and the shelves have not fallen down. I'm like, I wonder what that is. Okay, well, there's lots of boxes in the garage, and the garage was kind of below where my bedroom was. So I go and I turn on the light in the garage, and I can see the whole garage, so it's really not too scary. There's nothing that's fallen down in the garage. And so I peer at the scary basement door, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going in that basement. That's way too scary. I'm not really a very girly girl, but there's no way I'm going in that basement by myself. I'm like, okay, And I sit for about another 6 hours, it seems like, which was like 10 minutes. And there's no more noises. And I'm like, okay, maybe I imagined that. So I go back upstairs again, I sit down on my bed, I listen for another 10 minutes, I hear no noises. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to sleep. I'm not going to sleep, that's ridiculous. There's this huge noise, and when I wake up in the morning and I'm murdered in my bed, how stupid am I gonna look? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna call for help. So the first time in my life, I dialed 911. And I don't know if anybody here works for 911, but those people are so lovely. At this point, when it starts to occur to me that there may be something nefarious going on in my house, all of a sudden there's like people coming from everywhere into my house and my 4 children, and I was really very terrified. And the very lovely man from 911 stayed on the phone with me until not only did we see the police car coming, we saw that it was a police car, and I was at the door opening it for the policeman, and only then did he wish me good luck and hang up. Very lovely. The policeman came in, I recounted my story while one of his partners walked around the outside. I showed him the scary basement door, and he was a big policeman and he wasn't scared of the scary basement door. So he went down, he looked through the basement and he said, ma'am, I can't find anything. His partner came in from outside and said, ma'am, I can't find anything, and let's hear your story again. And I'm like, okay, well, I was up here, it was kind of loud, it was kind of a wooden sound, and he's like, okay, well, there's wood floors down here, let's start turning on all the lights. So we 3 of us turn on all the lights, we walk into the kitchen, and he holds up from below my kitchen cabinet this very adorable, that I still have, primitive wooden cow that I had placed really very decoratively and not as carefully as I thought, all the way on the top of our very high cabinets, and it apparently had fallen, boom, in the middle of the night. And it was an incredibly loud sound, and I was feeling really very stupid at that point. And I said, so do you have a code for that, Mr. Cow down? And he smiled at me, wished me a good night, and he left me. And so when David called the next day to see how we were getting along, I said, well, honey, we have most of the bag unpacked, and good news, I met the local law enforcement agency, to whom I'm extremely grateful for services both dangerous and not so dangerous. And we had our first cow tipping experience.